Mountain again with Section 3 of a Visual Functional Mathematics E3 level program. This is a short section, but probably one of the most important. It deals with how we handle data and how we present information. And we're going to start with lists and tables. What are lists and what are tables? One thing I can guarantee you is the tables we're going to be looking at are not the tables on which we have our dinner. This is about tables of information. So, lists can be used to show information, which is used in everything we do in the office, at home, at play, a list of your players, a list of products you want to buy to sell, a list of items you want to buy for the home. So lists can be used to show information using the information list. The key words we need to understand are information, which is what we use to make decisions about everyday life and office life. Data, the form in which we store information about things which helps us make decisions. Data, which is really pieces of information we store for future use about things. And then you have lists, which is, as I've explained, what we make up when we want to do our shopping, or we want to sell some stuff, you get a price list, or you are in a restaurant, you have a menu list, and so on. As I said, lists can be used to show information. There are 3 points we need to remember. A list is a simple way to show information. Another word for information is data, and the data in a list can be in words, numbers, or a combination of both. Let's look at this. A shopping list shows bread, milk, tea, biscuits, which are words, and of course the shopping list will have things like the prices or the quantity, which are numbers, and money. A price list for hairdressers shows wash and blow dry, £50, cut and blow dry, £20, cut and color, £35. It shows how much different services costs for the service. You need to be able to use information from the lists. In this example, you see the price of furniture in a store. How much will it cost to buy the small desks and get it delivered? The list of products are the large bookcase, which is £50, small bookcase, £45, desk, £35, and delivery charge, which is £10. So what is the answer? All you need to do to find the answer, you look at the list, look at the prices, and select the items you're interested in. In this case, the small bookcase, and the delivery price, which is £45 and £10. Add them together and you have your answer, which is £55 to buy the small bookcase and have it delivered. Example 2. Karen, Maria, and Joe are arranging to meet up. Joe makes a list of the dates when each of them is free. What date are all 3 friends free to meet up? To make that list, Joe will have to ask each person in turn to give the dates in which they are free, and then she will make the list and then compare the different dates until they're able to find a date that is common to all 3 of them. And in this case, it's the 12th. Okay, so all 3 friends are free to meet up on the 12th. You have some practice questions here. The first is a list on the right showing the height of each person in a group of friends. And then you have two questions. How tall is Faye? And who is the tallest? All you have to do, compare the list and select. You've learnt about meters and centimeters, so you should make sense. You should be able to understand what those information are. You look at the menu on the right. How much will it cost to buy soup and sandwich? Again, you have to look at the menu, select the items you want, and then you add the prices. So that's list. Now let's look at tables. On the bottom right there, you see a rather complex looking table of airport terminal A2 and departure dates of planes. Those of you who've traveled a lot, this should make sense to you. If you have not traveled, not to worry, because there are several other type of lists. Like, for example, I'm sure all of us have traveled by train. If you go to the train station, you'll see departure and arrival lists. We call them lists, but actually what you're seeing is a table. Why is it a table? Let's find out. A table is a way of showing information. How do we make sense of and use the information on a table? Tables are made of rows and columns, and each of them tells you something. The rows go across and the columns start from the top to bottom. As you can see here, the words in the dark blue boxes are headings, column headings. In this case, you have Amit and Steph. That's two people's name. They tell you what the rest of the table contains. In this case, you have their favorite food, which is on the left column. You have their favorite drinks, you have their favorite sports, and their favorite hobby. So looking at that table, you can tell a lot about Amit and Steph. For example, this table tells you that Amit's favorite sports is squash and Steph's favorite sports is tennis. So you need to be able to understand what the information the table gives you, and to do that, you need to know how to read the information provided by the table. So you have the column headings, which describes items on the list, and then you have the rows, which is made up of the different items that the table provides information of. The table you're looking at now gives you information about 5 different packaged holidays. Each row gives you all the information about one of the packaged holidays. So how many packaged holidays do we have? You have 1 beach, mountain expedition, Citibank, cruise, and cultural tour. That is on the left column. But if you read across, you start from the column heading to see what is happening. You have their ratings out of 10, and then you have the number of days it lasts, and then you have the cost per person. So all you need to do now with those information, you read across and you'll be able to tell all the information people need to know about those holidays. Okay? Each column gives you one piece of information. For example, the cost about all of the different holidays. This means you can compare each piece of information. You can see that the most expensive holiday is the mountain expedition. Which of those holidays would you prefer? How to use information on the table continues with example 1. The table shows the times of the low and high tide at a beach. Ivan goes to the beach on his lunch hour every day between 12:20 and 1:20. 1 hour. He likes the seaside. Okay, I do too. What days will he be at the beach? for high tide. So you look at the table. What do you see are the column headings? Time of low tide, time of high tide. And then for each day, it tells you when this phenomena occurs. What day will it be at the beach for high tide? You can simply look at that and find your information. Let's find out what days it will be. How to use the information. First, look at the headings. Find where it says time of high tide along the top. Then move one finger down from time of high tide and find any times between 12:20 and 13:20. For each time you find, move your finger across to the left until you reach the day. So which day is it? Ivan will be at the beach for high tide on Wednesdays and on Thursdays. Example 2 shows us another way we can use the information on the table. A group of people were asked if they were left-handed or right-handed. The results are shown on this table. Now what this example shows you is the range of information you can extract from the table by just studying it carefully. What is it about? You have left-handed people, right-handed people, and then you have groups of women on the left and on the right. What do they say? Some of those women are left-handed, some of those women are right-handed. Likewise, some of the men are left-handed, some of the men are right-handed. On the basis of that, you can tell how many women took part in the survey. That's what we call it when we're doing an investigation. You can tell how many men, the total number of men, took part in the survey. You can tell how many women and men are left-handed. You can tell how many women and men are right-handed. And then you can tell the total number of people who took part in the survey. Do you see how much information you can extract from a table? Now let's see if I'm right. How many women took part in the survey? Add up the number of left-handed women and the number of right-handed women, because this is only about women, and that is 36 plus 164, which is 200 women. Incidentally, that is the total number of women in the survey as well. How many people were right-handed? How many people, not women, but people? Then all you need to do is look at the bottom row and you will see the two numbers for women and men, 164 and 173, which is a total of 337. You begin to see how important the table is and how useful it can be. Here are some practice questions. Study the table on the right. Remember what I said, the column headings tells you the different information you need about the days and the week. And in this case, it's sunrise time and sunset time. You have 2 questions. Practice questions 2. Another set. This is about movies. The genre of movies people like. You have women, you have men, and then you have 4 categories: romance, horror, sci-fi, and action. There's a lot of information you can get from this. The total number of women who took part in the survey, the total number of men who took part in the survey, the total number of people who took part in the survey, the total number of people who like romance, the number of women who like romance and the number of men. So go across, write down the list, and you can get a whole load of information. Practice 3. Another way you can use a table, like if you want to buy a wedding present, you can what we call deductions. Okay? Part of a friend's wedding list is shown on the table. Now, if you want to buy a present, you will not buy what the person already has. You will want to buy what the person don't have but needs. And usually they tell you the type of present they want. So that's what this table is about. So you look at the prices, you look at the presents that already have been bought, and then based on the budget, Claire's budget, you can decide on which price to buy for her. Okay, so what have we learned? What are the key points? These key points are that lists are used to itemize information like shopping lists and menu, task schedules, players in a team, and shopping lists. That's just 3 out of hundreds. Table is used to store data or information for future use. Well, it's data, it's there, we don't need it immediately. When it's information, that is when we use the data to provide the information. A table is made up of rows and columns containing records. Each column tells us a piece of information about the things like prices of holiday packages. Each row contains a record of each thing in the table. The things in a table can be people, products, or services. Okay, so do not forget, download the video for this topic, go through it again, take your time and do the practice questions that I have provided you with. At the end of this series, we will look at the questions together and I'll provide you with answers for those questions. I may not be able to show you some answers because the software I'm using is limited. However, I will attempt to do all of them. If not, then you will have a practice exam paper which I'll give you to do, and then I'll provide the answer a couple of weeks later. So that's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed your lesson.